Hello and welcome to the Buildup. This is the podcast for marketing in the construction industry. I'm Dan, the creative director at Dissident. We've been working with construction brands for a number of years. It's an exciting and rapidly evolving industry, and that's why we created a podcast dedicated to the weird and wonderful world of construction marketing. I'll be speaking to leading brands, other agencies, creatives, influencers and startups. This is the resource I wish we had when we first started out in the industry. Thank you for being here and welcome to the Buildup. Well, I'm here today with Liam, aka Liam the Plumber. First of all, thank you for coming.
No, mate. Pleasure's all mine. Thank you for having me today. And thank you for allowing me back in here again. Well, I love it in here.
So we had you here on the Fischer podcast, right?
Fischer podcast and also Dudley Unplugged.
Oh yeah,
as well. So that's two. First episode of Dudley Unplugged with Pablo, and then the Fischer podcast with me, Carl, Dave, and Liv.
Yeah, there you go. So this is the hat trick on the Dissident podcast.
Yes, done all three then.
Okay,
done all three that have been here.
So if you've seen Liam on podcasts before, it might look very similar to this because it's the same studio, just with a different sign.
Different sign every time. Yeah, I've completed the trinity now. Yeah, of all three that have been here. So yeah, I love every time I come here. It's been amazing, and of course the guys that are here, it's like a family away from home. Home away from home for me, as I live quite far away. So it's always nice to come here and, it's lovely.
Well, so we can explain what we've been doing today because we've been filming content with you with one of our clients, Fischer Fixings, and just filming some sort of launch content for one of their new products, which we won't talk about on this.
Exciting though.
Yeah, really exciting. Really fun shoot as well. Yeah. And that was all in our studio. And that's kind of the theme of the topic of today, essentially, is, marketing and construction. I've said it loads of times before, like this is the sort of year of the micro-influencer. And I know you don't like being called a micro-influencer, but for the sake of like all the marketers listening, is it just easier to call it that?
Yeah.
I never know whether I'm being disrespectful by saying micro. Not because you're short.
No. Yeah. For the record, I'm 5'8", out of push.
That's average.
I don't know. I think most of us prefer to be called content creators. However, I consider to be what Dissident do. I consider you to be content creators. Mm-hmm. We are micro influencers or influencers, depending on the following. I think micro influencer starts at like a very low sort of 2 or 3K. Mm-hmm. But I don't mind being called it because it's easy of understanding. Kind of everyone outside listening and watching knows where I am on not the spectrum, but they know where I am on the sort of board. Yes, yeah.
What would you consider to be the number that transitions from micro-influencer to influencer, do you reckon? I'm always interested in that number.
About 10K.
About 10K?
I think about 10K.
Yeah. Okay,
I think 10K.
I would have said 80K.
Would you?
Personally, yeah. I mean, the numbers are probably different for the construction industry, but it's so easy to get 80K in other industries. Like you can get especially in things like cosmetics and fashion and stuff like that. 80K is so easy to get to, or easier than construction, for instance.
Yeah.
So perhaps you should have like the term, like the goals are set differently for a particular industry. Maybe.
I think so. And I think with, when I look at some of the guys in the construction industry, so for me specifically, the plumbing sort of community, you look at it and you go, 10K is a big, big number. You go, wow. But when you look at other people in other industries, it's, like sort of 50, 60K is the minimum. And then you go on to like hundreds of thousands. And it's kind of the norm. The construction industry is quite a niche market where people like... seeing what you create, i.e. the job that you do. So if you're a carpenter, for example, it's quite satisfying to watch. I like watching other trades. Yeah. But there's only so many times you want to see a plumber bend some pipe work or solder something. Okay, it's satisfying to watch and it's cool to watch. It doesn't quite get the same reach as what some other industries do. So therefore your numbers are naturally a little bit lower. So I think for construction, I think anything 10K above influence. I think anything 10K below, I think it's micro. I think.
And I've always thought about micro influencers, and it's never been like a sort of like a bad term for me. It's just a way of differentiating two different types of creator, and the micro influencer for me has always been somebody who's got a cult following. So someone's got a really engaged but slightly smaller audience, who are like essentially like they're like a real cult following, as opposed to somebody who's perhaps got let's say 100K, but as a result, like not a lot of those guys are actually engaging with the content. Not that engagement's everything, but I've always liked this kind of for me, it's always been the smaller numbers. Always feel like they've got more of an authentic audience towards that particular personality.
Yeah, like So my following is it's a very loyal following. There's a thing recently, specifically on Instagram, where you could go through your followers and it would highlight followers for review. Out of the nearly 6,000 I've got, I had I think it was 9 that were flagged to review. And when you compare it to other accounts, for example, that have had hundreds and what have you, 9 is pretty good. 9 sort of slipped through the net. So you just remove. For me, it's not about getting the most numbers. That's not what, for me, social media is. But for your following, I want my following to be the most loyal it possibly can be. And everyone follows me because of me. And I get rid of the ones that were up for review have gone. And they were literally just bot accounts that when you get follow, or someone's followed you, they're the ones that kind of slip through the net. You can't always keep track of every single person that comes through. So 9 to slip through, I consider that really, really good, to be fair. But they've gone. But it's just about having that loyal following and people like your content for you, basically.
We've skipped ahead a little bit because we're, for most of my audience, they probably at this stage are like, "Who's this guy?" If you're not in the industry. Although, to be fair, I imagine a good majority of the people listening will know your name, especially if they've got any interaction with Dissident, because every other post is Liam the Plumber.
It's me, yeah. I'm always here. So we started. When did we start working together? What?
We were trying to discuss this off air, weren't we? So
it got to be nearly 3 years ago, just under 3 years ago.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and ever since then it was Dissident this, Dissident that, and anything I do with Fischer as one of your clients. Dissident always get tagged in it because it's not Fischer as such creating the content. It's Dissident that creates the content for Fischer.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's everyone gets shared in it. So if people don't know or if they think, who is this guy? I'm a plumber.
Tell us the full story from start to finish. Give us a brief overview.
So left school, all that sort of stuff. When it got into the plumbing trade, as soon as I left school, family full of tradesmen, fell into plumbing literally straight out of school, loved it. And then been working for a couple of companies over the past 15, 16 years. And then the past sort of 3, thought, do you know what? I want to get into social media, try and sort of venture into that a little bit. Would I say it's a hobby? I don't know.
It's just an interest.
It's something that was interesting because you see other people do it and you go, wow, that looks really, really cool. Let's do all this stuff. Did all my plumber by trade, and I do social on the side. And naturally with the socials on the side, companies will pick you up and go, we really like your content, this, that, and the other. I did one video for Fischer. I wasn't asked to do it. I did a video.
I remember it well.
And it was a review. I brought some Fischer bits at a trade show. Took them back home, did like a review on it, and ever since then, Judah contacted me, and then I've been doing bits and pieces with Fischer and Dissident ever since. Still doing the plumbing on the side. Pretty much 90% of my time is still on the tools.
It's still your full-time job.
It's still my full-time job. I still get paid to do that. And then the social media is just the extra little bit on the side. That it's just an interest of mine, and I just like creating content on my day and on things I do outside of the norm. So not everyone gets the opportunity to come and film content with companies and agencies, etc. So it's quite a cool thing to do and document. And there are times when I can sit there of an evening, nothing's on the TV, for example, and you're just flicking through socials and you go, do you know what? I do this. I look through my profile, go back to the very start, and I look at the things I've done and where I've been. I can't believe I did that.
That's a late at night activity, isn't it? I just like sort of going, oh, look at that. 2 years ago, I was doing this, and I thought that was ages ago or whatever. But yeah, it's really cool.
It's nice to reflect on and go, this is that's where it all started, and look at what I'm doing now. But that's kind of the rough overview. So I'm a plumber by trade, then I do socials on the side.
Love it. Yeah. Really, really cool. And I guess we'll come back. We'll circle back to the story of like that first interaction with us and Fischer Fixings and how that kind of relationship kind of started. But when you're wanting to work with a particular brand, let's say I would love to be like associated with this particular brand, or I would like to get paid, or I would like whatever, some kind of collaboration. What are you looking for, like specifically in the brand? Not what you get from it, but like the actual brand.
So if I wanted to go and work with a particular brand, I believe there's a right way of going about doing it. First off, I wouldn't directly approach the brand. Hey, can I work with you? I believe you have to show support in the brand and the product, for example, or what they produce. Show that support, but show that loyalty as well. And I wouldn't expect to work with that brand with immediate effects. You have the engagement, share their content, show your passion for what they are, who they are. And then I've never pushed anything. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If nothing comes of it, there's your answer. I'm very lucky I get to work with 3 brands, all 3 of which I never approached, all 3 of which approached me or came by. Thomas Dudley came about from someone else's hard work behind the scenes that got lots of other people involved, who were close friends. That's a different story. But the other 2 have all been, they are all off my own hard work, if that makes sense. So you can get in with one company, for example, Thomas Dudley, and then you have to still put the work in for the content. But as for working, with the other 2, I never approached. They approached me. That's because I show support, passion, etc. for their product and their brand.
So taking it a step back then, so these 3 brands, are we allowed to talk about those? So we want to talk about 2 anyway. So Fischer, Thomas Dudley, and I imagine STABILA.
STABILA, yeah.
Okay. I think the point to take away from this is you were already a fan of their products ahead of time. You were already using their products, and as a result of that, you were they were appearing in the content that you were making and being tagged and stuff like that.
Naturally appearing in the content I was creating before anything even came about. My whole theory behind socials was I just liked to show off my day-to-day, the work that I'm doing, and show off the products because they're cool products. For me, it wasn't about going after brand after brand after brand, seeing who would pay the most money. That's not.
And then all of a sudden you're affiliated with that brand. It's just like, and now I use this rather than like these were things you were using on the reg over a long period
all
of
the time, and I never pushed for them. I just tagged them because I believe in the product. And then naturally things fell into place. First one was with Fischer, which you touched on. And then second one was Thomas Dudley, which was a game where someone set up like an initial meeting, if you will, and went, we want to do a factory tour. We did a factory tour with about 10 of us. And then it came about from that all the content we were all producing at the time was really good. We'd like to come on board. Okay, no problem. And we were already producing content already, but it just naturally fell into place. We never had to push for it. But sometimes you need that initial interaction, if that makes sense, just to kind of get wheels in motion. And then STABILA just came out of the blue. And again, took me by surprise.
Really cool brand.
Because initially you go, why me? A bit like Fischer, like Thomas Dudley, why me? And And then it's, again, my firm belief is I never approach people. Things just naturally fall into place. Yeah.
Well, the why me thing is quite an interesting topic, because the thing that attracted us, and I say us as like Fischer, because we shoot pretty much all of Fischer's content. We run their socials and we manage their collaborations with influencers and sort of third parties and stuff like that. So we're heavily engaged in Fischer's socials, because we're the ones creating the content for it, managing it, communicating with their audience and stuff like that. So essentially, as for all intents and purposes, like we're an extension of Fischer Fixings, as well as the other clients that we've got. But in this circumstance, we'd noticed, because we get tagged. We, Fischer, get tagged in stuff all the time. We see loads of content. We see loads of people reaching out to us and stuff like that. So we're kind of numb to a lot of it. And a lot of it looks the same, a lot of it feels the same. And the thing that stood out to us about you in particular was the fact that it was, for some whatever reason, it was different. It stood out as being unique. The interaction was really unique. And you weren't saying, hey, Fischer, like, I've bought some of your products. Can I work with you? It was very much a case of, check it out, guys. I've just been to, I think it was Screwfix Live.
It was Screwfix Live, yeah.
You bought some stuff, hadn't you?
Yeah, I brought an L box.
You bought an L box?
It wasn't full of the tray. No, so it was an empty L box.
Oh.
And I had to get the I wanted the L box, the empty L box, but I needed to get the empty L box, I had to purchase, I think it was about 45, 50 quid.
It was like a promotion that was going on at the show.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I've always used the Joy Powers anyway. And at the time, I hadn't used the Joy Techs.
Right.
So
which are your go-to, basically? Now.
I love them.
That was the first, like, love at first sight. I love them. I mean, this is going to get really nerdy about a particular product that no one's going to care about, but we both love this particular product from Fischer.
And I purchased these products, took them back home, and I did a video. I think I sat in the back of my van. I think.
Yes, yeah. It was like a little and you would sort of put it up on the side of the van and show people and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just a really interesting way of filming it.
It was just a love for the product, and I never went, hey, I've brought all this stuff. Can I work with you? Then you contacted me out the blue, and it was, we really, really like this video. Can we have a chat? And that's how things literally just evolved without me even knowing or me pushing it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And so there was a couple of things that stood out to us. Was authenticity. You genuinely seemed incredibly excited about this particular product. You were just like, look at all this stuff I've got from the show. How cool is this? And these are products that we've just got lying abundantly in our offices and stuff like that. And you're looking at these Duopowers going, these are the dogs. Like, I really love these. And check out these Duo. Look how they work. You were like, I feel like you were showing the camera, like, check this out. You do this kind of stuff with them, I think. So I imagine you'd have had a demo at the show or something.
Yeah, it was Dan C that gave me a bit of a demo on some of the bits. And again, it's just to love the product. I was just passionate about what I picked up, because I love the brand, love the product. But weirdly, as strange as it sounds, I wasn't looking to get anything out of it.
No.
That's the thing.
That was a part of a series of other stories or videos on your feed of your day-to-day happenings, what's going on. But you happened to be at the show when you were really excited about it, and you bought some cool stuff. And I don't think Fischer was the only one that you were talking about. I can't remember.
Yeah,
perhaps there might have been some other stories where you're like, also this is what I got, and also this is what I got. I can't remember exactly, but I remember Aisha in the office, our social media manager. Was like, look how cute this guy is. He really, really likes these products. And she sort of, it's quite rare for Aisha to call us all over to her computer to watch a video on social media. But it sort of flagged all of our attention. We were like, oh, this guy seems cool. I wonder what we can do with him. And we were just in the infancy of starting to look at like third-party collaborations with people. Other than just shooting the content as dissident and producing it for Fischer, we were looking at different ways of sort of entering the market and different ways of getting content for, especially for some of the new product launches and stuff. So it was sort of came at a right time, and we had a project lined up that I was pushing for, which was the Behind the Trade series.
Yeah.
I thought this guy would be perfect for this. First of all, because he obviously is really comfortable in front of camera. Because you get some great accounts that are silent. So you get these like, so there's a lot of like sort of ASMR, or there's some it's like time lapse of buildings and stuff like that. But you sort of scroll through and you sort of think, this person doesn't talk on camera, which means that they're probably not comfortable talking on camera, which means that we can't quite often. We're more reluctant to bring them into the studio or get them on site if that's the case. It might not be the case, but we can't go to every account and go, hey, are you comfortable on camera? Like, show us a video. So it made our life a lot easier as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think being comfortable in front of a camera, it aids you when it comes to days like today when we're shooting Fischer content anyway. So naturally when I'm talking to a camera, it's like having a conversation right now. It doesn't faze you. But yeah, I think approaching a brand, I think there's different ways you can approach a brand to work with if that's the way you want to go. I just think there's a I don't know, my way is not the silent way, but my way is just the way of going, show love and passion for the brand, support the brand, and what comes of it will comes of it. If nothing happens, then
you're not expecting a return.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
But if it happens, great.
If it happens, great, yeah. If it happens, put everything you can into it.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line.
That's it. So when it comes to actually creating content for brands, let's say you've got your three headline brands that you work with: Fischer, Thomas Dudley, and STABILA. How do you approach actually creating content for those guys? Because I imagine not every job requires that particular thing. Although I imagine most of yours actually do.
Yeah,
for these particular brands.
Strangely enough, so day in, day out. Well, if you think about the three, so Fischer make fixings, STABILA make spirit levels measuring equipment specifically, and Thomas Dudley make components for not just toilets but fittings as well, pipe fittings.
What is it, 60,000 products, 6,000,
something like that. It's a lot. The book's about that thick.
Yeah, it's mental.
So day in, day out, you'll always see me using a duo power at one point, and then you'll see me using my levels at the same time because things have got to be put on the wall level. Yep. Unless it's waste pipe, but that's different story. And then Thomas Dudley products, because I do sort of little jobs, I'll always be repairing or replacing toilets, for example. So I'll always be using their products. They've kind of naturally fallen into place quite well.
Yes.
And as for content, I don't ever struggle. They're three brands that I can easily do something with, and everything I do with them can be different. The content I produce for Fischer is obviously different for Thomas Dudley. Yeah. It's a totally different audience.
Yes. Is that a happy accident that you happen to work with three brands that you use on a daily basis?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Although I suppose in some respects it makes sense if you're creating content, let's say not every day, but regularly about the stuff that you do on a daily basis. You're going to be featuring products that you use really regularly, right? Not something that's obscure that you use once every fortnight.
There's no point in working or promoting a brand that you use once a month. How are they going to get their return out of that if they're going to be working with you? You're going to be doing one post or one video with them a month, and there's kind of no benefit. If it's something you use all the time, the people will know you for those three products. Like a lot of the time, people know me as just Mr. Fischer. Yeah, that's what they refer to me as. Freddie Fischer. That's what they refer to me as. But they know me for working with those three brands because that's what I predominantly use all the time. Yeah. So if that's what I use all the time, then that's surely what I'm going to promote. And promote it in creating content, it's so easy. It's so easy. But there are confinements in and around creating content, doing the job. Yeah. And also trying to do sort of bits and pieces with social media. Yeah. So every job you go into, you weigh it up. You go into Mrs. Jones' house, and she might be still over watching you. So there's no way you're going to get your phone out and start recording and this. You get in, you do the job, move on, but you're still using the products. Yeah. And you're not having to go back as well. And everything that, that radiator you've just fitted is level. It's not coming off the wall. So you can get in and out, if that makes sense, but you can create easy content with that sort of stuff. You just judge it based on the job.
Yeah. Do you ever get into a situation where you think this is perfect for social media, but it's not the right time. Like as in like the client's breathing down your neck or something.
All the time. And there are some jobs I prepare for some jobs, believe it or not. So I know I can see my diary, and I can see what's coming up, and I can go, right, that's gonna be perfect. And I get my tripod out, I get like my mic set out. I make sure the lens is clean on my phone.
Oh, you basically do pre-production.
yeah, pretty much the lot. And I go, right, when I get to this job, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And you get in, and the customer sits in that kitchen having a conversation with you. So that what you wanted to film, you could, but you want to be able to film it kind of in sort of free piece. Do whatever you need to do. Because customers sometimes aren't always aware that your phone is there on a tripod, so they might walk straight in front of it. And if you're doing an ASMR video, ASMR means it's dead silent apart from the noises that you're hearing. So that tap of like a hammer or the water running, not the distinct conversation about the cake sale going on at the weekend. You know. So yeah, it can be frustrating, but it swings and roundabouts.
Well, I imagine it's got to be frustrating when you're in a situation where you think this is perfect for content creation, but it's I've got these restrictions, i.e. the clients behind me. I wonder how many people would just go, do you mind if I film some stuff? I imagine you probably have a little bit more reserved.
Yeah, I'm a bit more reserved because I believe in producing quality over quantity. So at the time, if it doesn't feel right in filming it, I won't film it.
Yeah. Just get a vibe.
Yeah, if it's something I was hoping to film but I don't get the chance to film it, then I make sure I've got something else that I can film, which normally works out anyway, because I do quite a lot of jobs during the day. I can only film something from that, but I still want to make sure it's as good a quality as what I was hoping to film.
Yes.
And ironically, the stuff that you film and you put out, you think, it's going to do really, really well. It often ends up not the case. The stuff that I don't say throw together, but the stuff you put together and you go, I don't know if this is going to do that well.
Bit of filler content or something like that.
And it does unbelievable.
So frustrating.
And there's no time or effort or planning gone into it at all. But it just hits the mark, it clicks. So it's just it is irritating. But
there's a lot of we come across this in our line of work where we'll produce a film. Let's say it's 15,000 worth of budget for this particular film. It's one piece of content we're really excited about. It's gone through tons of planning. We've got third parties involved. We've got amazing locations and great models or whatever. Got some influencers involved, and we knock it out the park. It's been a big edit, and you get the numbers, and you get the engagement, you get the watches, all that kind of thing, and it's a flop. And then what you consider to be a flop. Most of the time, it's like reasonable amount of numbers. And then you produce I remember it distinctly, we did a film where we filled, and I pinched the idea from one of my friends, Martin Hobby, who did a very similar thing with something else. And it wasn't related to a brand. He was just doing it as just a creative project. And he filled a skull cake mold with expanding foam. And made like a mold of it and then spray painted it and like decorated it. And I thought, this is brilliant for one of our clients who does expanding foam. So we did that, and we want it to be like UGC content, but highly produced, which is something that's can become very popular now. So we filmed this, and it was all very kind of like I said to my team, don't put too much effort into this. Everything's shot portrait. This is only going on socials. Just a quick filler post, not a big deal. I don't need to put loads of effort in. And I think it's still to this day on our clients' socials, like one of the best performing organic posts. And it was done with like no crew, minimal effort. It wasn't 15 grand's worth of production, and it's still the best. And it's great, but super frustrating at the same time. But that's just how social media works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But then also we try and always educate our clients or our colleagues that engagement doesn't mean that it didn't work. Just because you get a piece of content that's really well engaged doesn't mean that you sold the product. Doesn't mean and just because a piece of content on paper didn't look like it got the likes and engagement and comments and shares and stuff doesn't mean that didn't promote that product. It just there's I won't go into it, but get into it too much. But there's pieces of content that don't require engagement. Especially from the brands.
Yeah.
Personal brand stuff like what you guys do is different. You're all about the engagement. That's the thing that's sort of I imagine most of the time is what you're looking for is that to have interaction with your community to some extent.
Yeah, to some extent, but also it is there. I don't really look at the likes. I look at the comments. Is the one. But then if someone's engaging in your content, engage back in theirs.
Yeah.
It's kind of like bread and butter.
It's called social media for a reason.
Yeah,
it's about being social. Yeah. A lot of people forget that.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, engagement is a big one. And I think I still believe that if you're someone like me, like a micro influencer or an influencer in general, or even a content creator, I still believe that, okay, you're creating content, but I still believe that you have to create the content, not just for the brand or company that you're representing's benefit, but also your own benefit. So you can sit back and you can go, I'm happy with that.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool. I'm proud of that. I liked doing that. I still believe that's the number one fundamental.
Yeah. It's like the people who take pictures just for the sake of taking pictures, just to put in an album that no one needs to look at.
Yeah.
It's for your own, enjoyment to go, look how clever I am, but it's just for me.
Yeah.
I imagine it could be the same.
And I kind of do the same with my social. So on my feed, it's, it's stuff that I do every day, stuff I do with the brand. But there's also personable stuff on there as well. Like my days out doing this, and this. It just adds... Again, this goes back to that cult loyal following. It's people like someone that's relatable.
Yeah. And authentic. Yeah. So it's no good me putting up pictures of me doing, photo shoots all the time or film shoots like we do today all the time, because that's me a percentage of the time. I'm at work the other percentage, but there's also a small, minute percentage, believe it or not, where I do have a life outside of plumbing. So, take pictures, for example, with me and my wife, or there's a pictures up there of me at like a recent track day, for example. It's something different. Yeah. And people go, oh, he's not doing plumbing today. He's doing something quite cool, actually. And that gets people talking. People go, oh, you're not all about one thing. So you go from Liam the plumber to Liam the person.
Liam the person. Yeah. But people like to engage with that.
Yeah.
It's personable.
100%.
You're not a celebrity at the end of the day. You're still that tradesman. In my case, you're still that tradesman. I still come from the same background as what most other people have. Started off in pretty much the same way. And I'm still a person at the end of the day.
And still I think this is one of the big things that I really want to lean into this episode is I'm a big proponent. I'm not even sure that's the right term.
I don't know.
I'm a big advocate. Let's go for that. I'm a big advocate for the micro influencer, for big brands. And there's a number of reasons for that. I think a lot of big accounts, not casting this across all big accounts. Some of the really big accounts are still great, but a lot of them have kind of lost their authenticity, just as a result of being big, and as a result of the fact that they've got a lot of it's necessary for them to create content for their paying brands on a regular basis, and the more brands they get, the more content they've got to create for those brands. So therefore, almost every piece of content is a paid promotion of some sort of brand or product. Which to the general audience can be a bit grating, because eventually these guys are running out of opportunities to naturally create this kind of content that's authentic. So they've got to fake it, or they've got to find a way of producing it, or they get burnt out and they're just like, right, we just need to find a day to film this. Who's got a space where we can just literally put some of our clients' products in the shot, do some sort of quick install or whatever, and that ticks the box for that brand. And we'll put it out on content on our socials. That way we can get paid. Whereas the micro influencer most of the time isn't going to have that issue, because they're still, for the most part, a full-time tradesperson.
Yeah.
They're still on the trade, they're still on the tools all the time. They ain't got time to do that, first of all. But also, because they're perhaps only working with 2, like 3 brands like yourself, sometimes more, sometimes less, their feed isn't filled with paid sponsorship content that is being made just for the money. And that way, I think their audiences are more engaged. They trust that particular account a lot more.
Yeah.
And as a result, for the brand's perspective, whenever you promote a particular product, your audience is of the understanding that he must really like this product because he doesn't work with a lot of brands. He's not, he's not just picking up brand deals left, right, and center. No. He's obviously really keen on this particular brand. So that's massive for the brands to be able to, for the audiences of their sort of ambassadors to be really engaged with their opinion. That's a huge benefit of having smaller accounts who represent your brand, and as a result, of course, if you've got a pot of money for content creators, having, in my opinion, 6 Liams is better than having 1 Mega Liam. Or mega accounts that is all about paid promotion.
You get more bang for your buck, but you also get people that believe in the product.
A more engaged audience, 100%,
and it's more loyal. Like I say, I've done. I switch it up all the time. There are paid promotions on there, but that's because there has to be, because I'm in contract with 3.
Yeah.
So of course they expect a return. So I have to label that as that. There are some personal bits on there, which is the relatable side. There's also the stuff on there where I don't tag anyone.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I did one recently where I just did an install of an outside tap. I didn't tag anyone in it. I just wanted it just to be about me doing the work and with a bit of music in the background. Go back to basics. It's not about tagging absolutely everybody in it. No. You can visibly see what products I'm using. So use some Fischer stuff in there, but you can see it. It's just nice sometimes just to have that post where you're not trying to tag every single company you need to in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, either the ones that you're working with or the ones you want to work with. But again, I think that's quite nice because although it's great to see the post where it's just art, it's just creativity, it's just content, it's just construction. At the same time as well, you're not losing your, if you always tagged the things that you love working with because you just want to support them as a brand, which is great. And all of a sudden you stop and only tag the people who pay you, or there is some sort of an exchange, then that just seems weird and again inauthentic. Whereas if you're like, I've been using this same spanner forever. And then no one's getting any benefit from. Oh no, you're not benefiting from saying this spanner's amazing. I've been using these since I was an apprentice. Never put a foot wrong.
Yeah.
Again, it's more authentic.
Yeah.
You're not going, please pay me.
Yeah. It doesn't. Not everything needs to have. Not everything needs to be tagged. Not everything needs to have a paid promotion to it as well. You can just create content just because it's cool content to make, or it's made different.
It's fun to make.
I was like, it's quite enjoyable for me because I was able to just film it and go, everyone can see what I'm using. So I left the camera on I left my phone in the same place so you can visibly see what I'm doing. But it's kind of nice just to sort of see the transition from nothing that was there to then something that's working for the customer. You can see, you can see what brands or what products I'm using from those brands, but you don't need to always shout and rave about it because people can visibly see it.
Yes.
If that makes sense. It's just nice to create something, a little video, bit of music, someone doing something, and that's it.
Yeah, I think social media and like content creation for the construction industry works massively because I came to the conclusion about this probably about a year ago after having loads of conversations with people who work in construction, how creative they are, and it's not something the general public would often think about a builder is the fact that they're really, really creative.
Yeah.
Because you think of fancy art students, and you think of, hipsters and stuff like that, you know. But the construction industry is incredibly creative because, you know, most of the time you are problem solving, creating things from scratch.
Yep.
You care if things look good most of the time.
Yeah.
So all of those sort of elements, you know, make up creativity. And so social media, from that point of view, just the act of making something and being pleased with it at the end is incredibly creative. So it's like a need. It's
kind of natural to kind of all tradesmen, I think, anyway, that if you're a tradesman and you're on socials, your content, I think, is naturally creative anyway. Because like I say, you have to be creative in your job. You have to get over problems, come up with different solutions. If you're a builder, for example, someone asks you to help design an extension, how's it going to look? Well, you've got to be the one, not necessarily, but an architect would do that, etc. But as a builder, you can go, oh, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. It's, you know, it's all going through your brain. So if you can do that, then you must be able to create videos of some description. You know, so it's naturally going to fall into place. Yeah,
I think social media is a really good platform for construction, people in construction to you know, have another element of creativity other than what they're getting paid for.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is amazing.
Definitely.
When it comes to brand, let's call them brand deals. Okay, so you're working with a particular brand, they've approached you, you've approached them. However, influencers and micro influencers are going about it. Typically, what's the exchange? And you don't have to be specific for your own for the brands that you work with, but what do you hear about, and what and even your own experiences of what's the kind of, we expect this amount of videos, please make these, and we'll do this.
So my circumstances could vary from one to another, definitely. And I think everyone's more sort of personalised, tailored to you. Yeah, I think it's based on your following. Potentially, I know you should never assume. I'm only guessing. I think it's probably based on your following.
It's definitely a factor.
Yeah, it's got to be.
There's some incredible creators out there, and construction people in construction and social media that I think, God, I'd love to work with you, but you have not got the following for me to be able to go to any of our brands and go, we need to pay this guy, or we need to give them stuff. Which is I hate that metric, but it's necessary.
I definitely think the following is a factor. As you're quite right in saying. I think they look at you as to go see how kind of authentic you are in the personal sort of side. Definitely for me, more so. Like I say, the why me thing. And I know the guys from Fischer and Dudley have said it, and I'm pretty certain it's the same with STABILA, for example. But you look at the person, who they are naturally. As you know, I'm no different on camera as what I am off camera.
Which I was surprised about the first time we met.
Really?
I was like, he's actually like this. It's actually incredibly nice.
But you know, I think if you, but I'm in it for the right reasons.
Yeah. But if we go back to the kind of like the exchange sort of argument, so the following makes a difference. But like typically, what do you see like the exchange being between brands and creators?
So from what I hear, it's probably like, can you do this? Can you do a certain amount of posts, certain amount of stories, reels, whatever it is, that kind of thing, depending on the platform, of course. Maybe, I suppose, if you do stuff on like YouTube, they probably, if you work with a sponsor on YouTube, you've probably got to mention that sponsor in, I don't know, every video.
Okay.
I'm only assuming maybe every video for probably 30 seconds to a minute at some point in the video. I don't know, it could be more stringent than that. It could well be.
Brands have almost got, a lot of the times they'll have their own rules and their own sort of specific guidelines, and then you'll get the creators who have kind of got the things that they would prefer to do based on their work.
It's kind of like a bit of a clash. But then, I don't know, I think definitely the following is a big factor. I think once you've kind of got past that and you've obviously shown interest in the company, then they're going to start looking at who you are as a person, what sort of content you produce. I suppose if it's different from someone else's they've currently got on board, I don't know. I don't know really. There's so many different factors to it. It's weird because I know of lots. I know I'm very good mates with a lot of people on socials. But I don't know why. Like the contracts, everyone. I can understand why everyone had the contracts. People have, they keep them close to their chest.
Yeah.
It's like
makes sense.
I can't. As you know, I can't talk about my contract specifically. I can only say from what I hear of others, which is, I think it just varies on many different things. And I think naturally, I think companies' demands could be slightly different to what the content creator or influencers' demands are. Your natural is going to have a bit backwards and forwards, maybe about can we just chop and change this? It can vary. I think it depends on needs and wants.
But then, what does the creator get from it typically? Like, I imagine it's a mix of monetary product.
So monetary products. Monetary products. You'll get the say, for example, when you do like a collaboration type thing, if you don't have to collaborate with that brand on every single post or reel you do, but when you do want to collaborate with them, 9 times out of 10, they'll review it and then it'll get put on the feed as well.
So you get a bit of clout from that.
A bit of clout from that. And I think just being associated with the company as well, I think it's an honour.
Yeah.
Whatever company you work with, it's an honour to work with that company.
Yeah.
Because companies don't have to. They don't have to work with anyone, but they choose to. If you're not on social media now, you need to be. That's where all brands and all companies are now. It's on socials.
I will say you are the anomaly of being like the least money grabbing influencer. I think I know. And you really don't care about the cash, do you?
No, I don't care at all. So like at the moment, like I'm actively being encouraged to put invoices in. But I need to be self-employed in order to do that.
Oh yeah.
So
you got to
of
think
course,
about that kind of thing.
Yeah. So again, but the money was never a thing for me.
No. Do you think some of that's got to do with being the fact that you have a full-time job and not being self-employed?
Yeah, partly, but also it's not the main. It's not a reason for me getting into socials.
No.
I have no, okay.
It wasn't a job. Although, would you be happy if it did become a full-time thing?
Yeah, you never rule it out. I'm not saying my content is better than other people's out there. There's people out there that produce. I look at something like, wow, that's cool. And then you talk to them and they go, no, it's not great. And I go, no, your videos are sick, unreal. For me, money's like, I'm happy. Just for me, it was all about making friends, gaining experiences. So I'm sitting here. That's a pinch me moment. I'm filming with Fischer, again, another pinch me moment. How cool is that?
You get to meet people from Dissident, you know what I mean? Molly's quite famous.
Yeah. People from Dissident. I get to go and do other things. I get to work with some 3 companies that are cool. What more does a man need?
10 grand. 10 grand a month.
10 grand a month. I just like filming the videos. I like putting the posts out there. I like meeting up with my friends I've met on socials. I like meeting new people that I've met this year at a few of the shows. And they're my reasons. They're my reasons. They're the reasons why I got into it. It's not for the cash.
It's very nice. What I'm trying to get to is, especially for the brands who are listening, what can they be expected to be? If a content creator is saying, "Hey, I'm absolutely okay to deliver X amount of pieces of content per month," that might be one reel, a couple of story posts, perhaps a collaboration. Perhaps I'll come and film with your team, like Dissident or something like that, on a particular basis. What can the brands be expected to deliver as an exchange of all of that content and stuff like that? I imagine for the most part you come across it's some sort of retained contract. So it's like a monthly fee every particular month. So you're essentially like a bit like how an agency works. So we get a monthly reoccurring fee for the work that we produce. I imagine would I be right in saying that especially smaller accounts early on Some of those guys might just be happy with like an exchange of product.
Yeah, product is always the first one. So some people are just happy with the products.
Especially new launches, sexy new products that you get to, I'm one of the first.
Yeah, first to get that kind of thing. They're cool. I think most people are just happy with the product.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, some people will want the money as well as the product. So there is that. I think some people, if you attend shows, for example, not only will they expect money for the retainer like you're talking about, they want product every quarter as well, for example, every half year, whatever it is. They'll also, if you go to a show, they'll also want to hopefully want to be on your stand at said show, helping to promote your product at a trade show, so in person.
It's massive, especially this year after the Installer Show 2024. The amount of people I knew in the industry that were wearing a particular brand's T-shirt and stuff like that. Back in the day, we were still getting like celebrities coming and doing like, almost like essentially ribbon cutting events and stuff for the show. But that 3 or 4 years ago, that was not a thing, or nowhere near as much of a thing.
No, it's not. It wasn't then as what it is now.
It's cool to see, though.
It's cool. Everyone that works a stand or has been, or is an ambassador and has been asked to be on the stand, has earned that right to be there because they put the work in with said company.
Yeah.
And then leading up to shows, you'll always promote the brand or the company, etc., that you're working with at said show. And when you're on that stand, the company or the brand expect you to work your backside off from open till close and talk to every single person you possibly can.
Yeah. And there's definitely less of an expectation for you compared to what you actually deliver. I think you over deliver a lot on a lot of that stuff.
Maybe I probably do. I think,
which is great.
Yeah, but the thing is,
it's almost a bit embarrassing how hard you work compared to most of the sales guys.
The thing is you've been invited onto the stand to be there for the day. I don't believe you should be there just sort of perusing and
just a pretty face.
Just a pretty face. Yeah. You have to get involved with the customer, because at the end of the day, these are fellow tradesmen, tradeswomen that come up to the stand and are seeing your videos and your content and going, are these ones that you're using?
Yeah.
So you've then got to stand there and go, yes, this is the stuff I'm using. Let me show you how it works. So I physically draw people into the stand and I go, let me show you how it works.
Yeah.
So you can see it in real life. And that's, for me, it's part of working a stand. It's part of wearing that T-shirt, that hoodie, whatever it is. You're not an employee of the company, but
you do represent it, though.
You represent the company, but I believe you have to be an employee of that company. I believe you have to treat that company as though it's your own. So
what I find interesting as well about the dynamic of having people like yourself on a Fischer stand, a Thomas Dudley stand or whatever, is not always, a lot of the time, but not always, the sales representatives that are on those shows that are typically working for quite big accounts. Away from the show, these guys are working with like your local builders, merchants and stuff. So they have a lot of industry knowledge, but not all of them have been on the trade. So they've been given a sales presentation on a particular product, especially they haven't been in the trade for a while. So when a new product comes out, they'll be given a sales presentation, probably some demos. They'll probably get a little bit of time to have a play with the product. And that probably continues throughout the life cycle of that particular product until they become incredibly familiar with it. However, they're not the first people to get the products. Like, you'll get a product way ahead of a launch and get time to play with it, so that when people come to the show, you've got like 2, 3, 4 months of experience, sometimes 6 months of experience with this particular product that you can say, I've actually been working with this product.
Yeah.
I know exactly how it works, when it doesn't, what's best for this particular thing. I think that's really cool about having people like yourself on the shows, is you are the actual trade representative of that particular brand, as opposed to just the sales guys who perhaps haven't been either have never been in the trade or haven't been in the trade for a very long time.
Companies like now to have, there are more and more reps coming through now that have been on the tools or have had some experience on the tools. We come in as tradesmen, we deliver the sort of the tradey side of things.
Yeah. You sort of translate the product to the end user.
Yeah, we showcase it in our own kind of way, whereas the guys, the reps, etc., for example, when you need them for that little bit of backup support, because you might get like a real technical question you don't know the answer to, for example.
Yes.
So let's remember
load tables and stuff like that.
We're not technical guys. So when you need that technical information, you've got the reps there behind you that have the technical answers, and they're literally standing right next to you, and they can help you out with that. So you might not be there selling the product, but when someone asks you that awkward question of whatever it is, how much does this safely hold, or whatever it is.
Well, yeah, I was putting in this particular radiator the other day, which is 20 kilos. Do you reckon I could get away with that straight into plasterboard? That at that point you can go, I've done that. It's probably not recommended, but I've done it. I've done it.
Yeah. And then you can call upon the reps to go, technically, these are the loads it can take. This is what we're working with, blah, blah, blah. So they can give all the technical information that I might not necessarily know everything to. Because let's not forget, we use the product, but we're using it without thinking about the technical information sometimes. Yeah. You use the products, it's tried, trusted, etc., but you forget the data behind it and what have you. It's easily done.
The minimum you're going to need to know is maximum load. Yeah. That's pretty much it, isn't it? And then also with the caveat of not speaking for the brands at this point, it'll hold more.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Wholeheartedly. I mean, there are some guys in the industry, so like in the heating sector, who know the ins and outs of some of like heating products, boilers, components, etc. They know everything.
Oh, yeah. Fault code.
It's so geeky. I don't know if geeky is the right word.
I think it is.
They know everything, and I look up to those guys, and I go, you're heating engineers, etc., and you're doing socials as well, and you know every single number for this. You know absolutely everything, and that stuff's real in depth. The stuff I work with, it's technical, but it's not technical as other sectors.
Yeah.
I think the three that I work with, they're technical items, technical products and brands, but they're not as technical as some of the others. So I don't need to know every single in-depth thing.
But you've got experience using them, which is huge.
Is the main thing.
For the show. So like big value add for working with ambassadors. Ambassadors. Massive value add for working with ambassadors is, obviously the content that you guys create and you're kind of putting out to your sort of call to audiences, but also the benefit of having you at things like shows, if that's available, to be able to relate the products to the actual trade.
Yeah.
And they know that you're still working as a plumber, so they'll say, well, what's best for this? What's the best product for this?
Yeah.
And they'll know that you'll have a bit more industry knowledge, essentially.
On the source sort of knowledge.
Exactly. I think that's definitely massive for working, especially with micro influencers.
Yeah.
Are there any other advantages that you can think of working with accounts that have got a more cult following, perhaps smaller numbers, as opposed to like the big behemoths of social media?
You'll always find. So with me, for example, from personal experience, my cult following, if they see me use it, if they see me using a Fischer, Fischer Fixings of any description, a Thomas Study product or a STABILA level, what you'll find is your cult following all of a sudden start to use those products and they start to tag those products and companies, which is amazing. That's what you want to see.
What's the purpose of influencers, basically, isn't it? From a brand's perspective.
Which you forget, you go, that I'm having an influence on these people to buy products or to believe in a product, and that makes me an influencer. It's surreal seeing that because I was at that point once where I was watching other people who I still look up to now, and there's so many people in the industry I look up to, and I go, wow, your stuff is incredible, your work is amazing, and I still get influenced. I'm influenced by them. And yet I do my own thing, I influence others. How, again, pinch me moment, I don't know how, why me. That that's one benefit of having that cult following is they will follow you through absolutely everything, and they will believe in everything that you're doing because they know it's genuine, they know it's authentic. You know, when you say it's good, it's good.
Yeah, and they trust you because you've proven yourself to be trustworthy for a long period of time by not selling out to every other brand under the sun and stuff like that. I'll always remain loyal to those that support me, and the three that I work with have always supported me. They've always believed in me. So my cult following is naturally going to go. You know, we're going to follow Liam. We're going to believe in Liam. We're going to stay loyal to him because he's, and also I guess your audience knows that you. You know, any brand that you work with isn't someone that's just come out of the woodwork and you go, what the hell's this? And they go, we're going to give you some money to use this product. I imagine you're going to go, probably no. Like maybe send me the product, I'll try it.
Yeah, so
but it's not just like I've never used this product before.
So I got offered an opportunity once to be part of a team that advertised or sold an app for software for a tradesman,
like a Tradify type thing, or those kinds of things.
Similar type of thing to that. And I instantly went. I said no because I work for a company, so I'm employed by a company. So that has no benefit to me whatsoever. So
immediately inauthentic if you're doing like a self-employed tradesman app.
Well employed. Yeah. Your integrity goes right downhill then. Yeah. So that one I turned down because it's not relevant to me.
No.
There was another one with like a shoe company, like a boot company.
Cool.
Never heard of them before, and I thought, I work with these three. My content, I don't really do workwear-based content. It's not my thing, and if I'm passionate about it, which I am with the three things I've got, then I find it hard to go, right, let's put some more focus and passion into something else, if that makes sense. Something I'm not, I don't normally produce content on. So that one, I said, look, thank you, but I can't do you guys justice.
No. And stay authentic.
It's not fair. It's not fair on you because you're going to be sending stuff out to me, paying me, whatever you're going to do. And I'm in it for the wrong reasons. Yeah. So that one, they went, do you know what? Fair enough. Thank you for your honesty. I said, it's not a problem, but I hope you find someone that can do it for you. There's a couple of others on there that I go, look, I'm happy producing the content that I've got. I like to have a balance between work, socials, and again, having that personal side of life.
I imagine your time is quite limited as well, isn't it? Being employed as well.
It is.
You've got to crack on.
It is limited, and I want to produce the best quality content I can for the companies that I work with. And I don't want to drag other companies along for the sake of a paycheck or product. That's not fair. They're taking their time out to message me. Great, I'm grateful for it. But I'm not going to sit and take the rise out of other companies just because I want money. It's not the way to do things.
On that theory though, out of interest, what boots do you use?
Scruffs.
So
Scruffs.
If Scruffs got in touch with you, would that be a different story?
No.
Even though you do endorse them.
Even though I wear their boots and I might occasionally, very very rarely tag them in stuff, there are other people out there that work actively with Scruffs, for example, more so than me. That's their thing. They're doing that.
Yeah.
When I want a pair of new work boots, I'll go and buy a pair of new work boots.
Well, they're so cheap, aren't they, Scruffs?
I love them. Comfy.
It's a different conversation in general, but I can't believe how cheap workwear is. It's like there are some premium brands out there, but the guys who are wearing Scruffs day in, day out for like 2 years straight, and they bought them for 30 quid. Yeah, and I just don't get it. I've got pairs of jeans that I've got trainers that don't last 6 months that are 120 quid. Yeah. You know what I mean? I keep buying them because I love them. And then you got these tradies that are like basically they're never out of them. They barely wash them.
Yeah.
They keep performing, and they were 40 quid for a pair of trousers.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I know it's off topic. Mine are the same in the sense that I love them. They were 40 quid about 3 years ago. Still got them now.
You won't find better value for money than workwear.
Yeah,
definitely. I guarantee you.
Yeah, definitely. But it's, you know, that for me, it's like going back to the thing of like, would I work with them? I mean, some other people are doing their thing.
Mm-hmm. It's not for you.
Yeah, it's workwear for me is a tricky one.
Mm-hmm. You're not super passionate about what boots you wear or whatever.
Not really.
No.
The thing is I wear a workwear top, the company top.
Yeah.
So it's I can't advertise workwear when I wear a company t-shirt or jacket, etc. Okay, bottom half we wear what we want, but I wear what's most comfortable. And like I say, trying to endorse it, etc. Other people are doing it, and they're doing a better job than me. Mm-hmm. They're doing a better job than what I would. So
it's interesting that you've got like although like that is a brand that you do wear and you wear on the reg. It's still got to fit the right criteria for it to be something that's worth making content on and having some sort of
wholeheartedly.
exchange.
And like I say, if someone else is already creating content on it and they're doing them, I think they're doing a much better job than me. Then
what's the point?
Yeah. Again, I'm not rushing to grab sort of a paycheck and product for the sake of trying to grab something for free.
Yeah.
I work with Fischer for the obvious reasons. I work with STABILA for the obvious reasons. They believe in me. Mm-hmm. Same with Thomas Dudley. You believe in me. That to me is what I'm about. Again, maybe I've got a completely different attitude to other people, and everyone else might be, or some people might be going, "Oh, I want the money. I want the product." That's fine.
Some people need the money.
If that's what I'm not saying, I don't need the money. Mm-hmm. I do. But for me, I just believe you have to be in it for the right reasons.
Yep.
And companies have all had to start from somewhere. Mm-hmm. Everyone's had to start with nothing and work up to the top. So why am I going to start taking the rise out of a company or a brand just because I want something for nothing in return?
Mm-hmm. I think it's got to come down to that thing of like, am I going to do a good job? Is my heart in it?
Yeah.
And if you can't really, if you're in your head trying to picture the type of content that you'd make authentically about a pair of work trousers, and it doesn't feel right at the time, then it's having the moral compass to go, do you know what, not for me just yet.
Yeah, exactly.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, and that's exactly my thought process. It's they're doing a much better job than me. I don't know if I can do as good a job as that. Maybe it's me not having any self-belief in my ability, potentially. But, I have respect for the guys and girls that are already doing stuff with that company. So why am I'm not going to go and start treading on other people's toes.
Yes.
They've put their work into it. Leave them to it.
It's an interesting thing. I mean, like on that basis, do you see other creators making mistakes with, when working with brands? And what are the like most common ones that you see of those? Like these kind of inauthenticity and stuff like that. You don't have to name them, obviously, but what are the things that you see that great on you or great on the community?
Trying to think now. It's been a long day. I don't know, to be fair. Are
there certain things that you wouldn't do that perhaps other people would?
Do you know what? I've always been told this. I've been told this by two very good friends of mine, Pablo and Mark Tiff.
Mm-hmm. Good guys.
Very good guys. You do you.
Yeah, you do you. That is the best advice ever.
Yeah, so like I stick to my own path. Maybe that's why I work with the three companies that I do. They chose to work with me. I stick to my own path. I don't go get involved in other people's lanes.
No.
Go back to the workwear thing. Like if someone else is already doing it, I'll leave you to it.
Yeah.
I stick to my own thing. You hear bits and pieces. Of course you do, but you go, do you know what? I continue doing my own thing. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I worry about the most? Is I worry that, am I doing a good enough job for the three companies that I work with? So rather than me focus my energy on other people, I focus my energy on me and go, is the content I'm putting out for Fischer,
Yes.
still good? Is it still what Fischer are looking for? Is the latest product from Thomas Dudley, can I promote it in the way that they would want it to be promoted?
Yeah.
I'm always worrying about these little things. So rather than focus my energy on what other people might do and what you might hear, I just focus on not my own lane, but I just focus on what I'm doing, and I make sure that my loyal following go, Liam's doing this. He's not getting involved. He's doing his own thing. Let's just bypass that, carry on following Liam.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does make sense. I can tell you're completely skirting the question because you're too nice.
Yeah. I won't answer the question.
To throw shade on what other people are doing. I'll throw some shade though, because I don't care. I think there are definitely things that you come across, you hear about, or you see on in social media when it comes to brands and influencers and that whole kind of like exchange. The things that that instantly break authenticity is the consistent switching from brands of essentially the same thing. So when you see a person who like really rates a particular brand because they like the quality, they like the customer service, they like the fact that they're made in the UK, whatever it is, or they'll have all these sort of benefits to a particular brand that initially they'll be like, these are my guys, and then the week after, as soon as that brand deal's over, for whatever reason, they're switching over to the rival brand, and full well behind the scenes it's because they've paid them more or whatever. That's a thing that will break authenticity straight away, and that leads to this kind of like a bad taste in the audience's mouth. You know what I mean? Of like, because essentially, what's an influencer's, from a brand's perspective, what's an influencer's job is a person who is building brand awareness and potentially leading to sales for a particular product or a brand. So if their audience all of a sudden doesn't really believe anything they say, they don't really. There's no truth in the brands that they endorse because you can tell they're just switching from one thing to the next. That's going to leave a sour taste in the audience, and therefore it's not going to do its job of selling a particular product or marketing a particular product. So you see that more often with the bigger influencers, the bigger accounts, and that's something that really puts brands off 100%, and it puts the audience off massively. So if you have this, again, we keep coming back to the word authenticity, some sort of brand loyalty. And you're not sort of like essentially just bending over for the next brand that waves some cash in front of you. That's going to lead a long way to brands taking notice, good brands taking notice. Yeah. And if those brands align with your values and what you do, and you actually genuinely like the product, then that's a really, really good thing. Yeah. I think and also, like there's another type of content which is really interesting that actually doesn't involve you having to know the brand a great deal or have used them in the past, and that's reviews. Yeah. Have you ever done anything like that where you've like reviewed a particular product? So it's like, I've got no affiliation with this, but this is cool. Not from a brand perspective, but just like I've done maybe it's like a couple of bits. I wouldn't say like review type stuff. I mean, if I was going to do a review on something, I wouldn't do a review based on something I've had for sort of 5 minutes. Yes, you guys had it for a little while. That'd be more like an initial impressions type thing. Yeah. I've done stuff on like initial impressions, definitely. I don't really do the review thing. Some people are better. Some people are better at doing the reviews than others, and I'm definitely someone that's not good at doing the reviews. I think doing reviews, for example, I think you have to always remain unbiased. You have to be able to say the good and the bad points. Yes. For me, I just look for good in everything. Yeah, that's my thing. I look for good in absolutely everything. Actually, saying that, maybe I'm the opposite way. I think if I genuinely think if I was an influencer, if I was of that mind, I would be the worst kind of influencer. I'd be the most money grabbing, like turncoatish influencer everywhere. The opposite to me. I can find fault in almost everything. I'm quite cynical, but also if someone was paying me, I would find a lot of good about that particular product. I reckon I would be completely biased.
Yeah.
So I'm. It's good that I'm not in that industry 100%.
Yeah.
And actually it helps, things like that definitely help me as a marketer and as a creative to find the best things in a particular product and highlight those.
Yes.
Maybe that's...
Yeah,
maybe that's where I'm getting that from.
Yeah, you're not going to look for the negatives, are you? You're always going to look for the positives. And to be fair, like the positives, I always try and look for everything good. It's very rare do I find anything bad in a product.
No.
You know, me and Pablo spoke about this before. There are certain things you can get off certain online retailers that are not good. Mm-hmm. That's a given. And we said this before, but then we try and look for good in absolutely everything.
So everything's got a purpose.
Yeah, my excuse at the time was, well, you know, budget comes into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the good thing. You got to look at it. There's something there for everybody. Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, reviews. I think some people are better off at doing them than me. It's not my niche.
Who's a good reviewer these days? Can you name anybody?
Pablo used to be a good one when he used to do them. He
doesn't do them anymore.
He used to do a 90-second review.
Oh.
And that review, they went down a treat.
Pablo Plumber, by the way, to check out on Instagram.
He does reviews. There are who else does reviews?
Mark Tiff does the odd review, but I think mainly for his again, Mark Tiff, someone's probably worth mentioning as a really good.
He's the
advocate for influencer marketing.
Yeah, Mark's a good one. Yeah, he's done reviews before.
I think typically for his brands though, I don't think.
Yeah, typically for Mark's sort of brands, but then there's a few. I'm trying to remember names. There's a few others that I see on Instagram that I follow that do the reviews. Luke's a good one. A guy called Luke the Plumber. He's a good one for reviews.
Is he in relation to you?
Is he your brother? He's just he's a good close friend. He does reviews. Macaulay from Smart Pipe, he does reviews.
Okay.
And these guys might get sent a product from a company and they'll do a review on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always a fair review.
Yeah.
It's always a fair review.
Not affiliated with a
brand. Not affiliated with them. They do some good reviews. That's just a couple to mention, but there are some more out there.
The reason why I asked this is we did a shoot recently with our mutual friend Carl Shantz.
Yeah.
Who's a carpenter, so he's ticking a couple of boxes there. Handsome guy. And
more tattoos than me.
More tattoos, yeah. And so we had a thing come in for a boot brand, like a high-end boot brand that I won't name. I don't know why. I don't think it's an issue to name them. They're all over our socials, but for some reason I'm not going to. So we had this kind of commission to do some UGC, some high production UGC content, which we sort of talked about a little bit earlier on in the podcast. And it was to promote this particular boot. And it was this particular piece of content was purely for paid activation on social media. So this was going to be an ad.
Okay.
This isn't going to be an organic piece of content, or if it is, it's going to be a different version of what we were creating.
Okay.
So the rules were strict on this piece of content. It was an influencer talking about a particular product and raving about how good it is, ticking off a few key points. It had to be a very short video. It had to be really well produced. It had to look incredible. It had to have that dissident look about it. So there's a couple of moral issues with creating pieces of content like this that we have to try and navigate, which is, it's a brand new product, no one's used it. How are you going to review something that it doesn't exist yet, as far as I'm concerned, in the marketplace? How do we say the right things without like being misleading about the fact that we don't really have a great deal of experience with this product?
Yeah.
And there was a few sort of moral issues that I was like, I'm not quite sure about this. Let me go back to the client, because I didn't feel particularly comfortable about lying. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel comfortable about coercing an influencer to lie with the promise of cash. Not that I don't think Carl would have done that anyway, but I wanted to get this out of the way before we even had that conversation. And it all came down to that amazing word, authenticity. So we came back to the client and we said, how quickly can you get this product to our guy? because we desperately need him to actually have used the product on site for a period of time, at the very least, to give his first impressions. The second thing was, does this need to be scripted? Because we don't feel super confident having Carl read off a script, saying things that perhaps he doesn't believe. And also, can we be authentic about the amount of time, and can we have a little bit more freedom about what we can say about this product based on Carl's specific experience? And it was a yes to all of these things.
Okay.
Basically, so that was great. So that was like, cool, we can work with you. So, so that was how we navigated this kind of thing of like, review a product that you've not really had much use with, to give your first impressions about a product that you've had a limited amount of use with, and only talk about the things that you have physically experienced. Naturally, we didn't talk about any of the bad stuff. Carl didn't mention any bad stuff, but you can find bad in anything. You could, well, I'd like at least one shoelace more.
You're always going to find something, aren't you?
You know, there's always going to be something that you can change about a particular product. He didn't have a bad word to say about it, which was nice. It helped. But also, we were able to be really authentic about the fact that I've had these boots for a little bit of time now. This has been my genuine experience. I went for walks with the dogs. Like I was, sort of ankle deep in a huge puddle, and everything was fine. And how cool do they look?
Yeah.
And you can spout out a load of key features and benefits, which is you're not saying that this is what I like about it. It's like it's got this particular thing.
Yeah.
So that's like facts. So it's an interesting kind of way of getting into the market as an influencer, and I'm just saying that for the benefit of the brands that that might be listening, that. When it comes to these kinds of things, authenticity again is key, and I think if you can kind of like broach that with the, if you wanted to get a load of content right at the start of a launch when the brands barely had the product in their hands, let alone anybody from the general public, be authentic about that and tell the truth. So I'm not at this for a particularly long time. I'm going to keep it. I'm keeping these boots.
Yeah.
I might do a more long-term review, but first impression is really good.
Yeah.
I think that's authentic, right?
100%. Authenticity is key. And it's one of my core values is staying authentic, not just to me, but to the brands that I work with. I believe that's how I've been brought up as well.
Yeah.
You just be,
morals.
Morals. Yeah, it is. Not lying and taking the mick. You do things the right way. Everyone wants different things in life. Everyone wants to go about doing things in a different way. So that's authenticity.
We're gonna have to close this off. It's been a really good
talk. Is that all your questions?
No, I've got about 24 more, but
really?
I'm just aware of how long we've been in here for. And you've got to get back down to East Sussex, is it? West Sussex, even worse.
West.
But no, we got that far,
right? Roughly
kind of here-ish.
Oh wow!
We've got all these ones, but a lot of these were like sort of like caveats for like that were like not that necessary. So these were like personal branding and growth questions. Like if we had time, we might do a little bit of this and stuff like that. Though I want to finish off with like maybe two questions.
Yeah.
So if you had advice, if you could give any advice to smaller accounts looking to work with medium to big brands, what would you do personally if you were back in that situation?
I would show my support for that brand, show your passion, enthusiasm, and love for the product. If you like it, of course. Don't go faking it. Actually like what they've got to offer.
And have some experience in that.
Yeah. Get to know the people within that company or brand. So i.e. get to know the person that runs the social media account. Try and sort of use the product in a real world scenario. Don't set it up as such in like a studio. I know we're in a studio here, but as a micro influencer or someone just starting out, use it out in the real world. Showcase it. That's how I started.
Yes,
and that's how I'm in the position I'm in now.
Yeah.
And also remain true to yourself. Just be you. You don't need to change. You don't need to change who you are for the sake of putting your face or your voice to a camera.
Yes.
It just keep it as you. Don't go trying to be someone different.
Yeah.
There's no need to be. That's why when I think a lot of people meet me, they go, "Oh, you're actually as nice as you actually are in real life."
Sickeningly nice.
Yeah. And it's true. It's true. I don't change. That's my advice.
Okay.
That's my advice.
Can we flip that on its head? And what advice would you give to brands looking to reach out to smaller accounts?
Everyone has their own style of content. So look at what content is best going to help you as a brand push forward.
Mm-hmm. As opposed to trying to change that.
Yeah. As a brand, try not to ask people to change their style of content. Yes, okay, going forward, you might be able to dictate when you want content and all that kind of thing.
The amount of
content, etc. But don't try and change someone's style.
And manipulate the outcome.
Yes. And when you look at someone to start with and you wonder if they're any good, remember, never judge a book by its cover. Mm-hmm. So, okay, you might see an influencer, for example, that does lots of videos. They might not have any pictures, for example. They're all about the videos. They might want to do the pictures, but they might not have experience or confidence in doing that. Yet maybe if you were to work with them and you go, we just want you to take some pictures of it. Mm-hmm. We're not fussed on where the pictures are taken. We're not fussed on how the pictures look. We just want pictures. That you could bring someone out of their comfort zone. You could give someone that little bit of self-belief. So you
can grow with the influencer.
Help. Yeah, you grow with them and they'll grow with you. And I think remember that influencers will always look to try and not compete with others, but look to try and go, I'm going to use this trending audio. I'm going to use this trend of video. Remember when they do that, accept that, okay, you might be hearing that song about 300 times in one day, but remember they're doing it to not just remain relevant, but also to help their content grow. In turn, your product is featuring in that content as well. Yeah. But this goes back to the influencer. Don't be afraid of not using trending audio and trending styles of content. Remain true to yourself. Mm-hmm. Vary it up. I vary it up. Yeah. Again, that's how I'm in the position I'm in now. Every video doesn't have trending audio to it. Might see the one or two here and there. Yeah. But it's authentic. It's me. I'm not trying to keep up with the Joneses, as the saying goes. Yeah. I'm just doing Liam the Plumber.
And do you know what? I think that's sometimes one of the worst things you can do is try and keep up with the Joneses. Because, I mean, you'll probably see this just as much as brands, but brands definitely see it because you look through the DMs or the tags on, let's say, Instagram, and you think, Jesus, every single one of these looks the same. Mm-hmm. Like, they just go into this sea of sameness and monotony from all these different accounts, and it's just like not interesting at all. And then every now and again, an account will come out of the woodwork that really grabs your attention. It might be their visuals, it might be their approach, it might be their uniqueness, whatever it is that makes you stop and sort of like take a second look and go, that's interesting. Yeah. And I'll bring it back to a couple of guys that we've worked with in the past. I mean, name dropping, mainly Fischer guys at this stage, but Dave White, DW Plumber.
Yeah, good old Dave.
Very unique approach to content.
The Admiral, yeah.
Very much. I mean, you'd explain him as like sort of abstract comedy almost, isn't it? It's very funny content.
Hilarious guy.
Most of the time, it's not even putting the product in a particularly good light, but it's brilliant. So who cares? He's so funny and authentic and such a genuine, nice guy, and self-deprecating. Really, really interesting. Really stands out. Really appealed to our client Fischer, or us and then Fischer, as being unique. But then also you can not have a hook. You know, like Dave's got a hook. He's funny. He does these little skits and little almost like improvs that are really really funny, and collaborates with other people and stuff. We've got people like yourself, really authentic and genuinely enthusiastic about a particular product or a particular job or whatever, and that's really cool. You got people like Mark Tiff that we mentioned earlier, who he's really appealing to me as a representative of a construction brand, because he looks like the most authentic, genuine. We've said authentic so many times. I have to put like a little
swear jar in it.
A little counter on YouTube, because he works with quite a few brands.
Yep.
He runs a podcast for a brand, and he's got his own socials. He's got a big following on socials.
YouTube, Instagram, Facebook.
He's on TikTok.
I think he has got TikTok, but I don't think he uses it.
He's too old. He's too old for TikTok.
No, I don't know.
I'm not sure he knows how to use it.
Poor old Mark. He's a good mate of mine. He's a very, very close mate of mine. Very, very close mate. We don't consider ourselves mates. We consider ourselves brothers. We're that close. But he's a good one for it.
The reason why I like him is because he looks like there's something about the way he approaches content that doesn't feel salesy, that doesn't feel inauthentic. Even though he does work with a lot of brands, he's still very much a plumber. He's just he's you know, when I look at him and his work and stuff, I think I trust him. If he's using a product, I know it's good.
Yeah.
Because he's just so trustworthy, and I think it's all down to the fact that he still is a jobbing plumber. You know, he's not a full-time social media guy, but he's really very much just himself in the stuff that he does. And again, it all comes down to that kind of authenticity. He's somebody who's really appealing to me as someone who represents a brand, because if I'm looking for the antidote of the influencer that's jumping from brand to brand, doing kind of faked shoots, being silly and jumping on trends, I look at Mark Tiff and I go, that's the complete opposite. I want some of that. It's really refreshing to me. They're guys that are really, really good to look out for. So we've got some good takeaways for influencers to get in with brands.
Yeah.
Some good takeaways from brands to get in with influencers. I mean, the landscape of the construction marketing that I'm sort of seeing for 2024 and leading into 2025 is the micro-influencer. It's the year of.
Yeah.
You're seeing this trend, and I see so many brands that are approaching us purely for the fact that we've got a good network of accounts that we work with.
Yeah.
And I think it's the day of the huge accounts is gone. Was going. I think it's all about these smaller accounts with cult followings and people that they trust.
Loyal followings.
And loyal followings, and less money grabby, less sellouty. You know what I mean? And I think audiences are crying out for that, and therefore the brands are trying to jump on there. So eventually that'll go, because then they'll have so many brands that they'll work with. But if they're like yourself and are picky, I think that's a more sustainable way of doing things. So I think my recommendation would be for brands in construction, especially in manufacturing, is consider it. Consider working with accounts. Consider having a team that can manage those accounts. You don't have to necessarily go to like an influencer agency. We're not an influencer agency. No. You know, we don't get anything from working with influencers. Mm-hmm. We don't get a commission every time we book a brand deal. Although I do note those guys, some guys that do that, and they do good work. But it's been really insightful to hear about your story as an influencer and your approach. I'd be really interested to speak to somebody who's less nice, more financially focused.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to hear sort of like their spin on it. I'll ask you two more questions before you go. Is there anything that I should have asked you or that we should have talked about that we haven't? Do you think?
I don't think so. I think we kind of covered most things.
Mm-hmm.
I just say it from my perspective, in the sense that, yes, I work with the three I work with. I work with them three because I've worked hard at working with those three, or getting to that point with working those three without even knowing I was doing it, if that makes sense.
Fun work.
Yeah. I wouldn't take it, I'll never take it for granted. I'll always remain loyal. And like I say, if you're looking to work with a company, then I think you go about it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
There is a right and a wrong way of doing it. I never approached the three I work with. I just did things just like a natural progression, and that's landed me where I am. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. I think you can get whatever you want. You can get anything out of life as long as you put your mind to it, as long as you work for it. No one's ever going to hand it to you.
No.
But if you want it that bad and you want the money out of it, then that's fine. Everyone has their own different reasons for wanting to do things. If that's what you want to do, crack on.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was just simply about the make some friends, quite a lot to be fair. Meet new people. I've often aspired to on socials. See different parts of the country. I haven't gone across the world yet to go and do stuff. I mean,
we'll get there.
We'll get there one day, but you never know. I've gone and done this, and this, which are once in a lifetime opportunities. I get to do some cool stuff like today, or we've done with Fischer. I get to see some new products. What more? That's it for me. That's it. Everyone's got their own goal, their own motivation. I always believe that if you stick to your own lane and your own goal, you'll be fine.
Last question. If you could add one more brand to that list of three, who would you like that to be? Doesn't have to be the ultimate, just like one.
Who do I do stuff with? Do you know what? There's so many brands I not work with, but so many tool brands, for example, I do stuff with at work. Do you know what?
Like your spanners and your screwdrivers and all that kind of thing. Yeah. Wearer? I've always wanted to work with Wearer.
Yeah, probably Wearer. I mean, I do like some of the NERAD stuff, the NERAD stuff.
I used to know the marketing manager for them.
Okay,
well,
yeah.
The previous sales director, I think it was.
Yeah, NERAD.
Something like that.
Something like that. But again, I never expected to work with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So working with three is a bonus. I wouldn't want to. I consider that an achievement in itself.
Yeah. You're so full of shit, Liam. Just name a fucking brand, mate. Come on. Jesus Christ.
A
cool brand.
Wearer, NERAD, probably, I don't know, maybe Unilite.
Unilite,
Avito.
Because I can see your train of thought here. These are the brands that that you could shoot content with on a regular basis.
Every day of the week.
Yeah, it's like you're using those spanners every day, using those screwdrivers every day.
Yeah. And that's my thought process. Every day of the week. That would kind of be where I'm at. Again, my van, for example, is racked out with Bot Smart Van.
Mm-hmm.
You could say that as well.
It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. Something different. Don't know. Things happen for a reason, don't they? So if something come about, there may be, but
one of them.
But I love the three that I've got, and they're a bonus in itself.
Yeah.
So yeah,
might be Wearer. we're halfway there to dissident, I would say. So they've got their German, because they're very typical of the kind of clients that we work with. German brand that are trying to make cool content in Germany, but it doesn't translate well. It probably works really well in the German market and perhaps some other kind of Europe markets. But in UK, we've got a certain aesthetic, a certain visual, a certain sense of humor, whatever. It just doesn't translate from the German from a lot of German marketing. So what they try and make is gritty, dark content. Just looks a bit like a little bit more towards naff over here. Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that I'm like, well, it's like halfway there. It's nearly cool, but what it needs is dissident. I think.
Yeah, it needs
dissident because they're so aligned with our aesthetic. It just needs us to take it to the next step.
Yeah.
And that's very typical of, even we work with a lot of clients where they can get all their marketing material from head office in Germany, where they spend millions of pounds on all this stuff, but it don't work over here. So we might as well start from scratch.
Yeah.
Do it properly. There'll be certain things like white background cutout images that we're not bothered about making. We do that, but I'd rather make the sexy stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Weira would be the one for me.
Yeah.
I could do crazy stuff with Weira products. They'd be the one. Weira. I've asked.
Yeah, he's asked.
They're not interested at all.
He's asked now.
I keep pestering the marketing manager. He's not interested. I'll keep saying it until they get interested. Weira, please
keep pushing.
Just send me and Liam some products, and we'll see what we can do. Maybe
we'll do something.
Thanks, mate. Should we do a little dap? Ready?
Thank you very much. That was
nearly it. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I hope that was vaguely insightful for brands and other influencers and other creatives. And
thank you very much.
We'd like to get you on here again with perhaps someone else so we can have a little debate. That'd be cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm trying to think who.
Pabs. We'll get Pabs on.
Yeah, Pabs would say it as it is. Yeah, he would just say it as it is. And even Mark, to be fair, as well. To be fair, then it's me, the nicey one.
We'll do it anyway. Thank you so much.
No, thank you very much, mate. Thank you.